Hey guys, it's Matt Ganzak back with another great tutorial walkthrough. Everything. I'm going to give this to you guys. If you have not already gone through the token optimization guide, please go through that. I'll link below to make sure you go through it. It's how I cut my token usage by 97%. Other people have gone through and they've done the same thing, and it's incredibly helpful. And we're really trying to save money as we're building this thing. The only other thing that I feel is on the par with the most important thing is what we're covering today. I mean, saving money is huge, but let's harden your security. Let's go through this today. And that's what we're going through. And I'll tell you transparently, I did this for our community members only, but I felt after recording that video, it was so important that everyone go through this. And I don't want to just have this for community members because people are really going to get damaged. You're going to have your API keys exposed. You're going to have a lot of security issues with using OpenClaw. And I don't want to just have this for community members. I feel like everyone needs to have this. So I am posting a ton of content in our community, just to mention that real quick. So our community went live like yesterday. We have 216 members in there. I'll link below in the comments section if you want to join our community. It's growing rapidly, and the people that are in here are so helpful. And we did our first live call today. Live call went great. We were able to go through, today we went through the complete OpenClaw cold outreach playbook, which is amazing. Every single week we're doing a live call. And then in the learning area, we have an OpenClaw Mastery, my micro SaaS course on how I built and scaled a micro software as a service to 350,000 users and exited for 7 figures. The idea validation, the app idea validator, I give you access to my app. AI marketing, AI workshops on how I'm building apps with AI, our SaaS prototyping, exactly how we're building with AI, like so much information in there for you guys. And I'm going to keep adding to it every single day. I'm posting 5 new videos today in the OpenClaw Mastery, but today you're here for this. The security hardening guide. This is so important. So I want to give this to you. So I'll link to this document below. And again, I was saying this was for Sprint members only, but I want you guys to have this because it is so imperatively important that you are secure in your app. And this is probably one of the only other videos that I will ever share here on YouTube. I can't think of anything else more important besides saving money and making sure that you're safe and secure with going through this. So it's the 2 pillars that absolutely are going to hold this app up for you and do amazing things. And then everything in our community is about how to execute the app and how to turn it into profit for you, and how to do amazing things with this software. So I definitely recommend joining if you're serious about really accelerating, having us and the community troubleshoot, all work together and do great things together. So without further ado, let's get into this. So I have my copy and paste agents directly in here. So everything in purple boxes is copy and paste. And I'm not going to read everything on the screen, but you'll be able to go through this. Again, link below. So you'll be able to go through this. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to document our assessment. So we're going to do an assessment, scan the code base, and look for any possible issues. So I ran this in mine. And again, I need to give a disclosure to say, this is exactly what I did and it worked for me. Just to say that you plug this into your agent and it does the exact same thing for you, your configuration might be a little different. You might have tweaked things a little differently. You might have Olama LLM set up and it's stupid and it doesn't really know how to do these things. So there's a lot of variables, and I just am saying that by going through this, you are assuming any changes that might happen to your config or so forth that you don't know how to fix. So don't do these things if you don't feel comfortable. If you do feel comfortable, follow these and do these things. Okay, great. So this is the audit. So you'll go through the audit, and then you want to understand what the output looks like. And then I gave some different risk levels. Then from there, we want to run through giving a point system to how you're going to be secure. And then at the end, I have this whole point system that if you reach a certain number, then you should basically be secured. One other thing to mention is this isn't making you hack proof. Every application, every software in the world, it can be possibly hacked. I mean, Apple is investing billions of dollars every single year into making sure there are no hacks in Mac OS. Like companies, bank level security, they're investing millions and billions of dollars into it. So to say that you're going to go through this little guide that you saw from some guy on YouTube and you're going to be bank level security is it's not setting the right expectation. However, there's a lot of key vulnerabilities that we're going to remove in this guide, which are super simple things that hackers could get into. So just giving, setting up expectation. We are not setting your OpenClaw to be bank level security. So please don't do things that require bank level security because this isn't bank level security, right? Like you're not, I mean, some of you guys might be cybersecurity experts, but go to school, get a degree in cybersecurity if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, let's have some layer of protection, right? First thing is API keys and secrets management. So some explanation there. You have a prompt, it'll go through, make sure that we're keeping everything safe. We're adding things into environments. We're not exposing SSH keys. We're not exposing secrets. We're not exposing your API keys, etc. Like this is something that you can run. It'll help. Perfect. All right. So moving through secret scanning. So now we're going to search the OpenClaw code for any possible hard programs of hooks, commits, so forth that are exposing your keys. So let's do that. Let's run it. Let's see what it comes out with, right? Authentication control. Now we're getting into the security of your login and different things like that. So if you're building apps with this, you'll need to do that for each app, but this is for your OpenClaw. You can run this, go through your authentication layers. You have a prompt here. You can set some criteria for your JWT tokens, and you can set up some of those invalid tokens and, different things like that. So you can go through it, read it. I'm not going to read all of this. Next, role-based access. So if you're giving your OpenClaw access to everything, like Godspeed. But this is how I locked mine down. I had different models to have access to different things based upon what it can and cannot do. So lock it down, like lock down your security. So you can go through these roles and start locking down your security. Again, I give you the prompt. Session management, this will handle the prevent of token replay attacks. So, different attacks that might happen on your system, different issues that might occur. Again, as the further we get down this, the further we're getting away from the core, and this is drilling down even further into security. So if you don't do everything, it should be okay, just doing the top pieces. This is kind of getting more granular to drilling down on different session attacks and things like that. Network threats, another thing. You might want to take a look at this, but again, it's getting a little bit more granular, and this could break things if you're putting up a firewall and then, some of your functions it's trying to run are unable to access the internet because of the firewall and because of the protection you're doing. There are some concerns here. So another piece is if you're running this on VPS, adding a firewall and things like that could cause issues with different ports and different things being accessible to your app. So again, tread lightly. If you don't really know what you're doing, then maybe don't do this. If you do know what you're doing and you find this really helpful, then you should definitely go through this. Cores, again, if you're building like multiple apps and building apps through this thing and managing multiple apps and having VPS spin up different apps and you're allowing people access to them and doing things like that, like you'll need to set up cores, your get, your post, those different options in order to allow API calls to happen between apps and between things that you're doing and building. So it's just something to consider. Again, not totally, required. Again, firewall, I just mentioned it. I don't know why I mentioned it above. Firewall, again, same thing. You are going to be locking down ports. You're going to be locking down with this prompt. So again, if you're trying to get your agent to make multiple API calls, you could be locking down its functionality in order to do that. However, for some of us that are just running it locally, we want to have this level of security to make sure that we're not exposing any APIs or, any access points to our local machine that could cause further harm and so forth. Like some people are saying that they wanted to, deploy the app locally and, be able to test it on the web and so forth. So yeah, I mean, you are exposing your system and exposing your internal files to potential hackers and potential hacks. But again, going back, like the first thing that you should really do is lock down your keys, because the first thing that people are going to find is your hard-coded keys and it like right in the code, and they're going to take your keys and start using it elsewhere. And I have an audit for that down below, by the way. So here we go. Rate limiting and abuse protection. So definitely having some of these rate limits put in place, not only with Anthropic and those platforms, but you want to have rate limits set up inside for your system to make sure that you're not making too many calls and there's issues and so forth like that. So you can set these rate limits on your side and set a rule for it on your side, which is going to help to make sure that your system is operating well and you're not having issues. So definitely something to bring up. Cost circuit breakers. So if you're having issues with something costing too much money, you can put this in. And this was like the first part of my internal token audit system that I created. And in my token audit system, it tells me exactly how many tokens it expects to expense per task that I give it. And then it reports back and says how many it thinks it's going to use. And then after it does it, it closes the loop to say, here's the real amount of tokens that we used in that task. I know some of you have been commenting like, how do you do that? How do you know, like, how many tokens, whatever. It starts here, and I create thresholds and I create rules around the tokens and the usage to make sure that I'm not burning tokens on a task and it runs overnight and I get some, crazy bill. Cause I don't want that. A 3,000 overnight bill would basically be 10x what I want to spend for the entire month. So I don't need that. And I actually had somebody comment on the last video saying that exactly did happen to him. He got a $3,000 bill from running Opus overnight, and he got a $3,000 bill. So yeah, definitely don't do that. Again, like go and watch the last video. It's absolutely going to help. Okay, prompt injection defense. So now we can have character length. We can have other rules that we can set to make sure that we're not having prompt injection. So again, go through this. If you know what you're doing, great. If you don't, this could make issues later as you're trying to use your agent and you're really locking it down. So again, when it first installs, it's pretty wide open that anything goes, everything and anything goes. As we're locking down, as you're getting down this document, it's locking down further and further and further, which could cause your agent to not perform in the same way. So I definitely recommend, the further you get down this document, back up your entire OpenClaw. So if there's ever an issue with any of these prompts or any of the things I'm giving you, you can always roll back to the previous version so you have that backup. And you should honestly do that anyways, and you should have a backup of your OpenClaw. Perhaps set a cron to set a backup every single day, week, month, however often you're making big changes. This is a pretty big change, so maybe you should definitely have that in place to where you could have some backups and be able to go back. So this is my token audit system, how I log, monitor, and I have incident reports. This is exactly how I did it. So I set up this token audit to say, hey, let me know if we achieve this goal, if we have this, error, this error, whatever. Explain to me what it is, explain what happens, and then here's how to implement. Here are the critical rules that I'm looking for. Here's when to notify me, like let me know. Medium is just like, hey, just give this in the daily digest, and then add the logs for the rotation policy so we can keep this up, and everything's up to date. Everything's going on. So here's my playbook on exactly how to give me my critical, high, medium, low. So you can set this up to have your agent give you those types of security. And again, you can tweak this as needed, but it's going to update you on possible incidents and possible issues that are going on. And again, same thing, when you're telling it to add kill switches, if you're running something that's token intensive, it might hit your kill switch. So again, you need to understand the use case of how you're using the application, and you set criteria based upon the usage of what you have. So this is totally up to you. Data protection, another piece to do an audit, do an implementation, and do a configure. That'll help out with your agent to make sure that it's not having those different injections and the different data privacy and encryption and so forth. Again, further you get down this document, the further we're going to harden the security. Deployment and infrastructure. If you're not using Docker, you completely skip over this. If you are just using a dependency model, then you use this one. You'll be able to run through it, run a full dependency audit, figure out what files and what dependencies are available, make sure that you can't get an injection into your NPM, and have an audit of that, and then a check, and then an install to make sure that that's not happening. Backup and data recovery. Again, here's my backup script. If you're not running this, then definitely run it. Retain it for 30 days, and you can dump it, whatever your process is, but you can set this up and set up your crons and set up your backups and so forth. Ongoing security and maintenance. Here's my prompt for that. You'll be able to run through and make sure that your API keys are rotated. Again, what I'm saying here is rotating API keys every 90 days. So if you're a set it and forget it type person, it's going to break in 90 days because your API key is no longer going to work. But this will prompt you to say, hey, it's time to, rotate your API keys. It's just something that you can do to keep yourself safe and secure and so forth. Here is the master checklist, so you can go through and check these things off as you do them. So you can, download this locally and then be able to check that off. And then here's an agent prompt to run a final security checklist and give you your security assessment report. And from that, if you score pretty high, going back to the numbers and so forth, if you score pretty high, you're going to be fairly secure. And just by locking down your keys and just by locking down the first things that I talked about, not considering the firewalls and everything else that we talked about in this, you are going to have a pretty secure application. And, like I said, I did this video for the community, but I wanted to do it for YouTube too, because the two things that I think are most important is the tokens and, minimizing token burn. And number two is security. And I didn't want to have this only for the members. I wanted to have this for you guys too. If you want more from me, I'm going to do videos once a week here on YouTube and help you guys out. But I'm telling you, 99.9% of the value that I'm putting out is in our community. So you need to join our community. I'll link below so you guys can join. Join our community, get started. We have a live call every Wednesday at noon Eastern time. So definitely jump in and you can ask your questions. We have a troubleshooting guide in there that you can go through and ask questions and, get help with troubleshooting. And I'm going to add some more stuff in there. I'm working on some resources. I'm working with some of the API companies that they'll give some free credits to members of the community, and I'll be able to program those in for you guys, and so much more good stuff coming in the community. So definitely jump in there and take a look. Otherwise, implement this, make sure you're secure, and definitely make sure that you don't have any of your secrets or any of your API keys exposed or hard-coded, so forth. Go through this, harden your security. It's going to make a big difference to make sure that no one steals your keys and burns your cache. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you probably next week. I'll get another one out on the next one. We'll see you then.